So I just smiled and walked away. All in all, it could have been better. Ignore this, I was just playing ahead for the sake of bonus footage. I'm going to have to get straight into this right now because last time Tyrant was on his way to the reservation right at the bottom, and I played ahead and I found out that I could just about get there if I put all the Azure I had into me and dashed over as quick as I could. Going 3 chambers at a time is absolutely necessary, because if I go 1 at a time then the pause in between is too great and I won't quite make it. The Azure is of course flowing through our hearts, so the effect decreases the more that we travel, but it gives us about 3 times the speed of the brothers who have a huge mass to shift around. Just made it. This has taken me a couple of attempts so far. It really is that close. If I had been 1 unit in time behind over the stuff that I've been doing in the previous episode, then I probably would have missed this opportunity. Anyway, you shouldn't spend too long applauding yourself for a victory over a situation that only came about because of your complacency in the first place. So let's get on with it. The Fireflies reservation finally has some fireflies in it, so I'm going to head for those. It should be slightly less of a dire, draggingly tedious parade through low-quality slapstick as it was in the Fog Garden, since the ground is flat, and the critters go along some very well-defined routes, so it's almost impossible to screw it up too badly. Waiting at the bottom of the steps is usually the main way to do it, so expect quite a bit of that. Anyway, there I've gone, stating the obvious and describing the things directly in front of you when there are so many more unobvious and things hidden in the wings to discuss. The game has absolutely no preference over which sister you go and speak to right now, between the 3, Sister Ema, who we met in the tower, Sister Ely, who we met last video, and Sister Ire, who we've yet to become acquainted with. And because of this, they all talk more or less on the same subject. They talk about what we need to do, reach this stage of breakthrough. The act itself has not been described yet, but we do have a list of things to do in order to achieve it. Straight Talking Ailey went into quite a bit of detail there, and I'll go through each one in turn. First of all, we must drain the void of colour. This doesn't sound like it will step on too many toes. The sisters want us to do it in order to reach this breakthrough stage, and the brothers, as long as they trust us enough to collect it, then they appreciate someone who can preserve it.
You will die because of this.
So they should be alright with me consuming all that I can, unless they invent or dig up a new rule later on that tells me that there's some arbitrary limit with a flimsy explanation behind it.
I will give you the power to conquer time.
Finally got a double firefly, and there's more coming down. Usually they're much more spread out than this, so you'll be pleased to know that you are witnessing something unusual. Right, so draining the void, all the physical difficulties involved in that aside, we've been told that doing so will be the death of the sleeper reaching this breakthrough stage. I'm not sure whether the brothers will be happy. That might be their arbitrary limit, because the sleeper is the void, and that's where they live, that's their paradise, so any threat to that, regardless of how it occurs, is going to be just as bad. We also don't know how Master Colour will respond to this. So far his motives have been helping us, and virtually nothing else. So if he needs us to reach his eventual goal, and it isn't exactly the same one that we're searching for, then he may choose to abandon us partway through. And who knows what will happen then. If Colour doesn't want anything to do with us, then there's not much hope, since that's what we're relying on entirely. In any case, draining the void of colour, that could involve getting it from the brothers, it may even involve getting it from the sisters. Even just getting it from all the chambers is going to be hard enough, so I can see a lot of obstacles in the future. Our next task pales in comparison. We need to reach Turgor, so presumably that's filling up ourselves entirely with colour until we're ready to burst, so that shouldn't be too bad. There should be a way to do that at some point. Except we need 21 hearts, and that includes our 1 true heart. My violet doth overflow, so I'll have to leave some of that for Tyrant, which is a shame because he's probably the least deserving. So I've got no idea where to get this 1 true heart, but I'll come to that hurdle when I need to. It's far too abstract to waste too much of my time right now. Lastly on the agenda, after gaining all this colour and cramming it into all of our hearts, we need to give it away. die a heroic, self-sacrificial death. Despite the fact that we've given away a lot of colour so far, the word impossible gets thrown around quite a lot by the sisters, who don't believe that anyone in the Void knows the meaning of selflessness. There must be some overbearing reason for that. I know they're all extraordinarily hungry, but some have told us to save any sister, not necessarily just them. But then again, they don't have to be completely selfish to not know the meaning of selflessness. Aside from that, the brothers do not like the act of giving at all, so we're definitely going to have to deal with them. Right, the last firefly is full of purple, so I've got no interest in this one. Little sod. So, since this is probably the last time I'm going to be here, I will show you an Easter egg. If you'll direct your attention above the portal, near the upper platform, you can probably just make out the last word. It says,
Hello. Hello. Follow me.
okay, there's a quirky little reference. Although if you look around at the markings on the walls, it does look distinctly Oddworldian, so it could have been a source of inspiration. That and Emus Tower particularly stand out in that respect. And if you paint across it, yeah, it makes a noise. In the Russian version that sounded whenever you found an Easter egg, so presumably as a bottle of champagne. But in this game it only does it in this one place, so I prefer to think of it as the opening of a bottle of Marrowlicious Soulstorm brew. Now then, whilst Tyrant cleans up my remnants, I have two options left. I could head up to Irei. She requires the gold I've been growing, but I'm not entirely sure I've got enough to give her yet. So I think I'll head to Una, since this mine may hold some sprigs, and I want to get there first because they are very susceptible. This will also give me a worthwhile place to put my Azure, since there's way too much right now. I'm just going to pass it along so that I have enough space in my Lympha. I haven't planned this out at all, so I may not get there before the brother that's approaching it will get there. They will home in on it, as I think I mentioned. And I may as well toss a bit of everything else in while I'm here. You've seen the way the paths work in the Void. Sometimes they cross over each other, and you get two sisters that both lead to the same sister. I can get to Yanni in the top left, either through Smouldering Una or Military Ailey. So with some sisters, I'll never need to open two of their hearts. But for the purposes of this LP, when it gets later on in the game, I'll want to have all of them at pretty much even levels. So in preparation...
You're wasting Nerva from your hearts.
In preparation, I'll open two hearts of each sister through the normal course of this game. This will also allow me to show off most of the dialogue, which in another game might be purely there for completionist's sake, whereas in this it's actually incredibly interesting. So very worth my while. And of course I'll be slowly undressing them. I'm sure that's worth something too. I'm full of Azure, makes this trip very quick.
This is your new and final home. Don't burn it down. And don't even think about escape. You have nowhere to go. The one who starved his soul has lost it forever. But the one who accidentally found it has a chance for a breakthrough. Help the sleeper. And who knows? Maybe the one who's trying to get you back will meet another wandering soul.
So she's saying saving myself will be more harm than it's worth, so I shouldn't bother. I should just accept my fate and be happy with what I've got. But in the meantime, I should try and help out the effort. Because someone else may have a chance. Someone who found the soul. I don't know who that is. Did the Void find it?